You asked me earlier about the types of cyber insurance.
Yes.
So, I mean, in general, for middle market and small businesses, the primary cyber insurance policy is just that. It's a cyber insurance policy, which has multiple coverage parts. The coverage parts on the policy include a variety of liability coverages. Then there's a suite of first party coverages, and then there's a separate section of crime coverages. Now, many other policies should be coordinated with cyber insurance to make sure that your protection is strong across your whole insurance portfolio. And cyber insurance will fill some gaps across other policies, but there's still areas where other policies need particular coverage language and insurers may not be providing it. So you have to kind of look carefully at the whole ecosystem. But the liability coverage on a cyber policy is going to include network and security and privacy liability, regulatory fines and penalties, PCI DSS for payment cards, and then often will include some media liability, which is going to be your coverage if you accidentally repurpose somebody else's content on your website or make some type of media related mistake that creates some liability, maybe personal injury of some sort. And the policies vary on that aspect. I should say they vary a little bit on every aspect of coverage, right? The network security liability and privacy liability are quite important. The privacy liability, there's a breach, consumer or client customer information is taken in that breach. That's private information. That's your privacy liability. So the privacy liability is your liability to individuals whose data that you haven't used. The network security liability is broader though, because that's liability related to you operating your computer systems. In other words, if you get a virus and transmit it to your clients and customers, that creates liability. That's network security liability. If there's a corporate confidential information breach, that's going to hit network security liability. It's not so much regulatory or privacy because it's not really identified as individual private information. It's corporate confidential information. And these liabilities that are outside of privacy liabilities and escalate to network security liabilities, these are showing up in contract, right? And an insurance requirement. So we'll leave that for a latter part of the discussion. And now we can move on to say the first party coverages.
Yes.
Right. The first party is your breach response. It's going to be, who's helping you and what are they doing? We need forensics teams to come in and try to figure out what's going on. We may need crisis management and some reputational assistance to deal with media, depending on what industry you operate in. We may need to start to calculate a business interruption loss if you have downtime because of this event. And that's not an easy thing to do. Or it could pure and simple be a ransomware attack, right? Probably the most disruptive because now your systems are locked up and you've got to negotiate with criminals. Well, you're not going to do that yourself, right? So these expert teams paid for by your insurance policy and coordinated by your insurance company will handle negotiating with the criminals to address an extortion event, which we would insure as we would call a ransomware attack.